This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social. We're here at the Ricky Hatton and Marco Antonio Briera Open Workout. I'm joined by father of Ricky Hatton, Ray Hatton. Look, what an immense sense of occasion. Look at how good Ricky is looking at the moment. You must be incredibly proud.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. He's looking in really good shape, and I've looked at Marco, and Marco's in good shape. So both these guys, I don't think they're coming to mess about. You know, my personal opinion is it's due to be an exhibition, but because of the nature of the way both the fighters are, I think we'll expect a little bit more than a demonstration. I think a lot of pride will come into it, and the sort of Mexican spirit, because Rich has always fought that way and Marco has, so I think it'll be quite exciting for people.
When Ricky came out and said, I'm getting back in the ring to an exhibition, what was your initial thoughts?
Our initial thought were, no, you don't need to, you don't have to, you've done enough, you've been your time. But when he agreed to it and he told us he was going to do it, we just went along with it, like you've got to do, and support them. But seeing the way he's approached it, the weight loss, and how he's really focused physically and mentally for it, I must admit now, it's been a good thing for him, like I say, for his physical and his mental well-being.
Yeah, because when I've spoken to Ricky on numerous occasions, that's been the overriding theme of our interviews, is his mental health and the positives of doing these, because this is 2 training camps. You know, the first one in November was cancelled. This is now the second training camp. So he's had 2 lots at training and eating right and motivation, etc. So I can only really see positives with this weekend, can't you?
Oh yeah, if I'm being perfectly honest, I was relieved when the first one was postponed.
Why is that?
Simply because he'd worked so hard, he'd lost so much weight, and I think at that time, being honest, he was getting a few aches and pains and niggles. So when you think the first fight, he trained to get himself in shape and lose a lot of weight. When it was postponed, it enabled him to carry on physically and mentally, having to stay in shape, but being able to give him a little bit of relaxing time, maybe a little holiday, eat a little bit differently, that he's not got to starve himself, knowing that when he went back into training camp, he wasn't losing all that weight then, and he could go in and train for the exhibition. So I personally thought at the time, and I told him, I thought it was a good thing.
Yeah, Ricky did say the exact same thing to me as well, so I think you both are both correct in what you say, but yeah, Ricky has, like I said, spoke about his mental health, etc., and he does mention about his troubles and stuff with obviously his family, etc. But how bad did it get during the low points, if you can recall those events?
Yeah, it was a bad time for everybody, all the family, because what a lot of people have got to realise is that when you sink into depths that a lot of us don't understand, there was changes in Richard. And we didn't understand it. You know, his personality changed, other things were changed. He got things in his head that weren't naturally right or wrong or true, only because it wasn't him. It was a little bit of an illness that he'd got. And fair play to him. He's pulled himself together. He's in a great place now. He's not only in a great place physically, mentally, he's in a great place with his family, friends, good friends that he probably fell out with at the time, who were good friends, who now are back to his friends, and he's got so many people around him now. And so, because a few people say to me, do you think the dark days had ever come back? And I say, no, I can't see it now, because so many people are back in his life, and you know, you saw it in the past. If you got little inklings of seeing it in the future, you'd know what you'd be looking at, and you could do something about it.
Talk about his family. Was there any other industry or profession that young Campbell was going to do other than boxing?
Not really. You know, it's one of those things. If you look back when he was like 2, we used to be changing his nappy on the ring apron. So when people said about him going into boxing, as it surprised you, No, not really. He had a bit of go at football. He had a little bit of go at rugby, but it was always going to be the boxing, unfortunately. And the thing is, we had Matthew, we had Richard. When they finished, we thought, great, it's nice. We can enjoy boxing for the enjoyment that we used to always like. You know, even though it's a hard sport, then all of a sudden Campbell goes into it. We think, oh no, not again. And now Jack, who's 14. Matthew's son, he started amateur boxing, so
really good as well at the moment, winning all the time, Jack.
yeah, he's doing well. He's learning all the time. You know, it's early days, but the big thing is now is we're off again. But I'll give Carol a due. She said if any of the granddaughters want to do it, I'm emigrating.
You know, will it be easy? Will you enjoy the fight itself, or will you be heading hands, making sure Ricky's okay? How will fight night go for you and your family?
The thing is, whether it's an exhibition, whether it's a full contest where you're fighting for a world title, it's still boxing, and all the old feelings, no doubt, will come back. Carol will have to have a couple of shots before she goes there to calm her down, and then it's still hard work calming her down. No, I think more it'll be very emotional, really, for all the family.
You speak for yourself as well. You mentioned Carol. Was she similar to you in her mindset in this when she found out, same with you, that Ricky was going to come back and have this exhibition fight?
Carol's always the same. Carol's doom and gloom, and she was shocking about. We basically had to talk around, and what we've had to do is be saying, "Oh, look how he's good. Oh, look how he's talking. Look how well he's looking," and this, that, and that. And she's come round to it. She's not happy about it by any shape or form. You know, if a few weeks ago it had been called off, she'd have said, "Oh, that's great. He's got himself in shape and he's going to be all right." But now she knows that. He's got to do this for himself as well, and knowing Ricky, if it is successful, heaven forbid, I wouldn't be surprised if something else comes in the pipeline, because that's just the way he is.
Other than this fight, and obviously the obvious fear factor with any boxing match you go into, is there anything that you're fearful about this event in itself? You know, in terms of when Ricky has this fight, could there be a possibility that he'd go from up there to down there again? Is there any sort of fears that you have yourself, mate?
Yeah, obviously you've got to hope that whatever the outcome of the fight is, he's happy with it. That's the main thing. He's got to be happy. It doesn't make no difference about us or what we feel about it. He's got to feel that he's done what he's done. He's happy what he's done. And if for some small reason he isn't happy or anything, that's when we've got to take over and give him that encouragement and say this and say that and the rest of it. So no, I just hope I think it will be a fabulous success. Like you say, I think people are going to get a massive surprise. I think it will be massively entertaining. It can't be anything else. We just got to see, fingers crossed.
And finally then, like you said, there's other fights being mentioned. There is another fight being spoken about. Again, unfortunately, the Floyd Mayweather fight. Mayweather's fighting out in Dubai at the moment. He did mention that he wants to fight in the UK. Is there anything that you can tell me about possible conversations going on between Hatton and Mayweather?
No, there's no conversations between them. The only conversations is a couple of times myself and Ricky have spoke about it, and we were going out of City the other week, and he actually spoke about it, and he did mention a certain person, but only mentioning. There's nothing, you've got to get through this and see how he feels after this, and he won't be influenced by anybody. He'll make his own mind up.
It was an immense occasion, that fight. The US tour that Hatton went on, and then Mayweather coming to Manchester in the town hall. And what are your memories of that whole event?
The memories was obviously the build-up and everything was unbelievable. Can't do anything about it. The fight itself, I knew after the first round it wasn't going to go our way.
Referee though was a bit.
Well, put it this way: if you watch it in the first round, Ricky hits Floyd with a jab. Floyd staggers towards the ropes. Richard moves forward, and who's in the way? Joe Cortez. I'm not saying any more than that. I'm not pointing the finger anywhere, but when you look at something like that, you start to think,